guys, welcome back to a brand new video, and today, if you didn't read the title, we're counting down my 5 favorite drift cars in Forza Horizon 5. Now keep in mind, before we dive in, I don't necessarily have these in an order. I'll tell you which ones I think are better than others, but this is all left up to personal opinion, and if you think I missed some cars, comment them down below, and I'll probably end up doing another one of these anyway. But anyways, we're starting off at the number 5 slot here. And at number 5, we have a Lexus. It's the SC300. And the reason I threw this car in here, I don't think a lot of people know about this car because it looks pretty lame just as the stock car it is. But it can have some really cool upgrades, sort of like, think of it similar to the Silvia if you know anything about Nissans at all. Now, soup it up a little bit, you can obviously camber the tires, it has some cool paint jobs, and you can really bring out the drift car look on this thing, unlike you can some of the other cars on this list. And the main reason I'm starting off with this one is because it's only 25,000 credits. That's really hard to beat for a top 5 drift car. That means, like, chances are you could probably go ahead, get your hands on it right now. You might even have one in your garage. I accidentally had one, but then I turned it into a drift car and it has made its way into one of my favorite spots. So let me know if you agree with this or not down below. But I think it's going to be a pretty strong top 5, and honestly, it is one of the better ones on our list. Now, moving on to number 4, what am I doing? It's kind of hard to make one of these lists without including a drifting specific car, and I'm including the Twerk Stallion. I don't know what to add. I have to include this car. It's, first of all, technically free to get as long as you already have the Mazda RX-7 Savannah. I can't remember what it's called, but there's a certain RX-7 you need, and then you can get it for free from that skill tree. So in my opinion, this is a free car unless you want to buy it from the auction house, and it just handles so beautifully. And the nice thing about it being a pre-made drift car is if you want to make your own tune for it, you kind of can, because it doesn't have a lot of upgrade options, so there's not a lot for you to screw up. That's why I like making my own drift tune for this car, and I think you should give it a try too, because you might surprise yourself. But anyways, let's move on to number 3, and at number 3 we had to do a muscle cars. Muscle cars are underrated drift cars in Horizon 5. I feel like the Goose got me onto it early. Right when the game launched, like same week, he was already whipping the muscle cars, and they all drift very well. But my personal favorite out of the bunch is the 1969 or 1970 Dodge Charger, whatever year it is. I'm not really sure. If there's 2 of them, then they're like the exact same car. And I don't know, it just slides. It doesn't have too much power. Obviously, don't put the best engine you can in it. It's just very easy to control because it's rear-wheel drive, as all drift cars should be. And I've not actually completed a drift zone score in this car, so it's not a point drift car, but we do have one of those on the list. It's just a nice, relaxed, you can drive in it, drag race, drift, whatever. It's a very casual car to drive around in that happens to be exceptional at drifting. So let me know if you agree with this down below. Okay, sorry, I'm getting excited over nothing here. Let's move on to number 2. How are we at number 2 already? I gotta do longer lists. Anyways, number 2, I'm sure some of you probably expected this car to be on the list. It's the Silvia Club K's 1992. I wrote it down here so I could give you the exact name because there's so many different kinds of them. Silvia Club K's with an apostrophe S, 1992. I feel like you could technically get any of the variants of this car and they're all gonna be exceptional at drifting, but this one for me just happens to be the one in my garage that I have the nicest tune on, and I drift in this car, I can say like 60-70% of the time when I'm drifting, because it just drifts itself. There's nothing else really to add to it. They're so customizable. They have, in my opinion, some of the nicest paint jobs in the game are for these Silvia cars. It's a Nissan, so it's JDM. You JDM fans go crazy over it. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's a really strong number 2. And some of you, and actually in my opinion, as far as rear wheel drive drifting goes, this is the best car on the list. It's the number 1. It's incredibly cheap. I think it's even cheaper than the Lexus was. So there's really no excuse not to have it, and you're gonna find yourself whipping this thing a lot. All right, Rizon, what is the best drift car in Forza Horizon 5? Wow, I'm so glad you asked. Very nice of you. That segues me nicely into the number 1 spot with the Toyota AE86. I know, I'm sorry, but hear me out. It is the best point drift car in my opinion in the game. Now, if you don't know what point drifting is, Pretty much it's just people that try to get high on the leaderboard in the drift zones. And this car, I think, is the best car for that. Me personally, every drift zone on the map, this is the car I have used to hit the high scores. And in the first month of the game, I was in the top 100 in a good amount of them. Obviously, if you're point drifting in it, you have to make it all-wheel drive. This car really should be all-wheel drive, otherwise it spins out a little too easily if you're drifting in it. And I know all-wheel drive isn't really drifting, but again, point drifting. I'm still counting that as drifting, and some people are watching this video because they want a point drifting car. Well, this is your best bet. I guarantee you, if you search point drifting in the tunes for this car, you're gonna be blown away by how good some of the tunes are. And like, if you are going to a zone that you've already done in another car, give it a couple attempts in this car, I guarantee you beat it. Now that being said, learn to manage it. Because you're gonna go off the road a lot if you're used to rear-wheel drive drifting. So I don't know really what else to add to this, but be careful. But anyways, boys, that is gonna do it for this video. It is a bit of a shorter one, but we only did 5 cars. Any cars I missed or that you guys like, let me know down below. I'm gonna try them out, and we're gonna do your guys' favorite drift cars, because obviously I've only tried out so many of them. But as always, we'll see you boys in the next one. I'm out. Peace.